You did it this morning. Maybe on your phone before you even got out of bed. You saw something someone else had, someone else achieved, someone else became, and for just a moment, something shifted inside you. A quiet sting, a flicker of something you cannot quite name. You told yourself it was nothing, but it was not nothing, and you have been doing it your entire life. Here is what nobody tells you. That instinct is not a character flaw. It is not a social media problem. It is not modern. It is ancient. It is wired so deep into your biology that it has its own name, its own mechanism, its own evolutionary logic. And understanding it might be the only thing that actually loosens its grip on you. It is called social comparison, and it predates civilization by hundreds of thousands of years. In the 1950s, psychologist Leon Festinger proposed what he called social comparison theory. His argument was simple and devastating. Humans do not have an internal measuring stick. You cannot know how smart you are, how talented you are, how successful you are by looking inward. You can only know by looking outward, by measuring yourself against the people around you. This is not a choice. It is how the human mind calibrates itself. Your ancestors lived in small groups, tribes of roughly 50 to 150 people. Every person in that group was a data point. Who is stronger? Who is more respected? Who eats better? Who is chosen? These were not abstract questions. They were survival questions. Your rank in the group determined your access to food, to mates, to protection. A brain that tracked social standing was a brain that lived. A brain that did not was a brain that got left behind. You inherited that brain. But here is where it gets darker. Festinger also identified two directions that comparison travels. Upward comparison, looking at people who have more, achieve more, become more, and downward comparison, looking at people who have less. Both serve a function. Downward comparison protects your sense of self when it is threatened. Upward comparison drives ambition, but upward comparison also drives something else. A chronic low-level dissatisfaction that is almost impossible to turn off. Researcher Thomas Mussweiler at the University of Cologne spent years studying the mechanics of social comparison. What he found was that comparison is not something you choose to do. It is a default cognitive process. Your brain is scanning the social environment constantly, automatically, without your permission, checking, calibrating, updating your relative position in an invisible hierarchy that you never opted into. And the cruel twist is this: the closer someone is to you in status or circumstance, the more powerfully you compare. You do not torture yourself over a billionaire's yacht, but your colleague getting the promotion you wanted, your friend buying the house you dreamed of, your peer publishing the book you have been meaning to write, those land like blows. Evolutionary psychologist Sarah Hill at Texas Christian University has shown that these comparison responses are deeply tied to threat detection systems in the brain. Losing ground in social rank activates many of the same neurological pathways as physical danger. Your body responds to being outpaced by someone in your social circle the way it would respond to a predator. Cortisol rises, threat assessment spikes. The brain treats falling behind as an emergency, because for most of human history, it was. The problem is that the environment has changed completely and the mechanism has not. Your ancestors compared themselves to 50 people. You compare yourself to millions. Every platform, every feed, every highlight reel is a fire hose of upward comparison data that your ancient calibration system was never built to process. The result is a chronic sense of inadequacy that has no ceiling because the supply of people doing better than you is now effectively infinite. So what do? Festinger's own successors found something interesting. When people were made aware of the comparison process, when they could name it and trace it in real time, its emotional charge diminished, not disappeared, diminished. Awareness does not delete the wiring, but it creates a small gap between the signal and the response. The comparison is going to happen. Your brain will not ask your permission, but the moment you recognize it for what it is, not a verdict on your worth, but an ancient survival mechanism firing in a world it was not designed for, something shifts. Just slightly. Just enough. You did it this morning. You will do it again tomorrow. But now you know what it actually is.